Hey guys, and welcome back to NoBlandMakeup, where we do makeup and body paint tutorials, usually with a cosplay twist, and today we are doing Slytherin. But before we get in the tutorial, I have a t-shirt on Teespring, so if you guys want to support the channel, get a cool t-shirt, a little sarcasm sprinkled with everyone, click the link down in the description, and yeah, let's get on to what you're actually here for. So I've already done all of my face makeup. I'll have a video someday on what I do, but yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do is prime my eyes. This will help my eyeshadows last a little bit longer without creasing, make them more vibrant, etc, etc, etc. So you want to apply a little bit, both on the top and bottom lid. I did not, or top and bottom lid, under your lash line. I didn't put it on my lower lash line, and I'm going to regret that later. Do learn from my mistakes. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is put a dark green color in the crease. It doesn't necessarily have to be shimmery. This is what I had. I am on a low buy, so I'm trying to control myself. But you're just going to blend that into the crease. When you're working with darker colors, a good tip is to just dust over the eyeshadow primer with a bit of a translucent powder just so it's not as sticky. I did not do that. So I had to work a little bit harder to get what I wanted. But as long as everything is blended nicely in the end, that's really kind of the goal. I did go back and forth with this a little bit because I wanted it to be a little bit deeper in the crease, but I also wanted it to blend out the way I wanted to. So a good tip when you're using any kind of dark colors, and I've said this a million times and I will keep saying it, is to start with a little, build your way up, because it's way easier to tone something up than it is to tone something down. Believe me. I took more of a bright kind of shimmery green, and I applied this all over the lid. I also applied this on the lower lash line, and I'll show you guys that later. For this to kind of keep the fallout to a minimum, I really kind of sweeped my brush into the eyeshadow and then kind of packed the color on the lid, kind of patted it. Not really sweeping too much, and I found that this kept most of the fallout from getting on my cheeks. If you're worried about that a lot though, you can always just set down some translucent powder or put a tissue on your face just to catch anything that might fall. Then I went back in with some more of that darker green, blending it into the lighter one and just making sure everything was blended really nicely. For this look, I didn't want too many harsh edges. Over just a top edge with a fluffier brush and some eyeshadow that was pretty close to my skin color, just to make sure that it was blended a little bit nicer. And then, as promised, I took that green shade that was on the lid and applied that mostly to the middle, like third-ish, that was way more than a third, of the eye. And then I took some of that darker color and put that on the outer edges. Now I know some of you are wondering, where is the silver? This is a Slytherin look, and why am I looking at her forehead? Well, the forehead is mostly so I can tell you all that stuff that I just told you. But for the eyeliner, we're going to do it silver and not black this time. I took a little bit of those Mayron metallic powders and some Inglot Duraline. I used to use Duraline a lot on my channel when I did those face paints for like different little tiny designs and stuff, and for eyeliner, to be honest. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply that as my eyeliner. Since this is more like a liquid liner, well, it's not more, it is a liquid liner essentially. You want to apply a little bit and be very careful because we just did a lot of work. And actually, looking up close, I did a really good job with that eyeliner. Like, in person, maybe it's because I don't have my glasses on, but I thought it looked kind of like okay, but this is a really good job. Go me. I'm impressed. Sometimes you need to applaud yourself. And then I went ahead and drew 3 little dots just on top of my eye. Not entirely sure what that has to do with Slytherin. I just figured, why not? I want to embellish. And besides, I put way too much Duraline in way too much of that metallic powder, and I needed to do something with it. And it actually kind of got balanced out when I applied some other stuff later on, which we will get to. As you can probably see, I was having some issues applying my false lashes today. First of all, the pair that I actually wanted, because I didn't want the eyelashes to be so dramatic, I couldn't find, so I went with these, and then they didn't want to go on. So that just goes to show you that some days, like, it doesn't matter how good you are at something, some days it's just not going to happen. This is one of those days. Now, moving on from my eyelash problem, I went ahead and applied some rhinestones to kind of even out the dots that I did on the top of my eye. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Mostly I just wanted an excuse to use rhinestones. And I mean, really, do we really need to come up with an excuse? Like, and besides, I figured if any of the houses is going to wear something that resembled an emerald on their eye, it would be Slytherin. So I went ahead, I tried originally just to apply a little bit of lash glue on the back of the rhinestone and then apply it that way, but that wasn't working out and I was going to be late for work. So instead what I did was just apply it directly to my face, gave it like half a second to get tacky, and then just applied the rhinestone. And then I kind of pushed them in just to make sure that they were secure. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I will say though, now that I've thought of something else, if you're going to use any kind of like lash glue or adhesive like this on your face, do a skin test. Obviously, if it's something like lash glue, if you already use it on your eyes, you shouldn't have any problems. But if it's something like a little more durable, like a Prozade or something like that, you always want to test it out on your skin, preferably not the skin on your face, just in case you have a bad reaction, because you don't want to learn that you're allergic to something by getting a rash on your face. That is my helpful tip for the day. But yeah, that is basically the finished look. I am actually very, very proud of this one. That's why I'm still wearing it. Like, what, 6 hours later? I ain't complaining. And then for lips, I was gonna do green, but then I was like, nah. So then I whipped out my trusty Lolita 2, and this actually looked very, very nice with this, and kind of didn't take away from the eyes, because let's be honest, I glued things to my face. I obviously want the eyes to be the focus of this one. So I went ahead and applied that. If you don't have something like Lolita 2, you can always apply like more of a corally orange shade. This looks super pink on screen, and I have no idea why, but it is what it is. Still my favorite color. And in typical me fashion, I try to fix my hair, and no. But let me know in the comments what your Hogwarts house would be. Also, if you guys want to see the rest of the series, it'll be linked in the cards up above and in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to see what comes out of my channel next. Give me a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!